Today, I want to talk to you about 5 specific habits that I was spending over £500 a month on, and I no longer do them, and that money is in my bank account now. So let's talk about that, right? Hello friends, and welcome back to this week's money video. If you are new here, hi, my name's Yvonne and I make videos every week mostly talking about how to save money, make money and grow your money. And that's because I am on a journey to financial freedom and independence, and I'm sharing my tips and hacks that are helping me along the way so that they can help you too. So if you are interested in these topics, then hit that like button, subscribe and share this video with someone who wants to make a positive impact on their finances. So this all started when I had to go back to work after I had my son, and when I found out that I was going to be a single mum, I knew that I wasn't in a financial crisis, but I knew that I had to pay for everything myself, and that would mean I would have to balance everything on my own. Now, interestingly enough, even though I had just spent 3 months without pay, but going back to work and paying for all the additional fees meant that I found myself living paycheck to paycheck and actually struggling, to be honest with you. And so I wondered how in the world I would manage to pay it all. In fact, at one point I thought I was going to have to sell my flat, move back home, and I wasn't going to be able to cope with my finances. And so I really started to look at ways I could be better with my finances. So the first thing I did was I went back to my bank statements and my credit card statements and went through my spending item by item for the previous 2 years, because I thought if I could survive on maternity pay, surely I could also work on my finances now that I was back at work full-time with a full-time salary, right? That makes sense. So when I went through my bank statements, what I found was shocking. Now, if you are a regular subscriber, you'll know that I'm not one who spends vast amounts of money on designer things. I do love my bargains, and even though I felt I was doing everything all right, the most expense that I was doing was just treating myself here and there, and I wasn't really spending much, I would say. I came to realize that those little treats really add up. A small expense here, a medium expense here, one huge expense here, they all add up to an exhausted bank account. And I really thought I was doing okay, because each month I would tell myself, I'm not dipping into my overdraft that much, I can recover it the next month. And I was also not saving money as well. So I was completely overspending on a lifestyle that I simply didn't need, and frankly, I couldn't afford. So over the next couple of months, I experimented and I learned how to cut certain expenses out of my life and how to spend less on what I wasn't willing to give up. It turns out that a change in just a few simple habits can actually end up being life changing. So the first thing I did was to give up on paid hair care. So one of my personal care categories in my budget was expenses that were really quite high that I noticed straight away, and that was on my hair expenses. So I was surprised to see the grand total of what I was paying to not only purchase hair, but also hair products every month or so. And the problem was that I really love wearing different hairstyles. I love the versatility, I love the flexibility. One month I could have my natural hair out, and the next I could have box braids, and the next I could wear a wig. I just loved that versatility and being able to change my look. And of course, that all comes with the additional hair care products and hair care expenses that you need to make not only the style look good, but also make sure you are taking care of. I was taking care of my natural hair and I wasn't damaging it. And because I was not willing to stay with one hairstyle for a long time, that meant I was forking out sums and sums of money to basically look cute. Now I have to admit, I didn't have a hairstylist because I was taught how to look after my own hair and style it when I was really young, so that's an expense that I don't have to do. But that didn't actually stop me from purchasing a whole heap of hair products. But once I had my son, I decided to choose a minimal hairstyle and work with that, just because I wasn't sleeping. Who's got time to be changing their wigs that often? So I went with a minimal hairstyle, and that's what you see today. And even though it's really easy to look after, you can still get caught up in buying a whole heap of hair products that proclaim they can make your hair thicker, shinier, longer, full of life, and I will buy into that. And what happened is I continued purchasing them, and looking through my statements, it's like £10 here, £40 here, £20 here, £8 there, and before you know it, it can actually add up. And I think looking back, what's even worse about all of this is that I wasn't even using most of those products. I would try them, didn't like them, and then just leave them aside. So I decided to do some research and find out what is the best way to look after my hair and what could work for me. And what I found is actually cheaper than all the previous solutions. What works for me is simply, one, to keep my hair hydrated, and then use a mixture of a few natural oils to make sure it's moisturized, and then just use one shampoo and one conditioner. And the added benefit is that I can buy bottles of these oils costing me about £40, and they typically last me about 6 to 8 months. And so in doing all of this, I was able to save about £150 a month. Yes, on hair. Wild. The second habit I changed was the way I did my food shop. So looking back, I never actually had a budget for food. In fact, I just fell into the habit of going food shopping about 3 times a week, and that will be including eating out, ordering takeaway about twice a week. And this was just for me and my little boy, and most of it was being driven by what I felt like eating on that day. And even if I had food at home, if I was coming back from the office and I smelled something from one of the many restaurants on my way back home, because I just happened to live on a street that has got so many restaurants, I would either pop in and buy food, or alternatively, if I just fancied something, I would pop into the supermarket and just buy whatever it is I wanted to eat. And this is probably what was driving my food expenses up. I was not only tired, I was also hungry, and I didn't like the idea of coming home and cooking. I just wanted something quick, easy, and delicious. And even when I got into the supermarket, I would want to buy everything that looks good, smelled good, seemed like a bargain, and then I would come home with even more food than I intended to buy, and definitely more than I really needed. And then of course you can imagine what I ended up doing was just wasting a lot of food, as the food that was already in the home in the fridge would be going off, and because I didn't get around to eating it, I would just have to throw it in the bin. What a waste. So one thing was very clear, and that was that I needed to rein in my food expenses. So now what I do is I do a big shop once a month, and I have a small allowance to buy things that we run out of really quickly every fortnight or so. So things like milk, bread, fruits, and fresh veg. I also make sure that I do quite a bit of meal planning beforehand and meal prepping after shopping to make sure I make the most of what I have, and that the food lasts the longest that it can possibly have. It can possibly do. I also try and plan my meals around what is on offer at the supermarket. So if I know which supermarket I'll be shopping from, I have a look at their website and plan my meals around the offers they have, and create a clear shopping list and a clear menu plan for the week, month, whatever it is. Then when I'm in the supermarket, I simply go in, grab only what is on my list, and quickly get out. Now I can say that I don't have 100% success rate, but it's getting better as we go along. And that way I save by not overbuying items I don't need. I also save on fuel because I'm only taking one big trip to the supermarket a month, and all the other mini shopping trips are done by foot to my local supermarket or to the local market as well. And ever since I started doing this, I've reduced my food budget in terms of like my supermarket spend from over £300 to just over £100 a month, bringing my total monthly food savings to £200 a month. And then what I did is I've also started to do a no spend year, where I'm not spending any money on takeaways or eating out, well, because we can't anyway. And that is an additional saving as well. But if you are interested in seeing what a typical food haul looks like for us, then check out this video, which will show you everything that I recently bought for just under £80 that will hopefully last us 4 weeks. Now, habit number 3, I changed where and how often I bought my clothes. Now, I will be the first to admit that I like clothes, and I really love shoes. And this is an area where I'm just not frugal by nature. And to make things worse, I really like bargains. And so I would easily frequent fast fashion websites often to see what was on sale and what I could get as a bargain. Now, this meant that I didn't feel like I was spending too much, because if you're buying £5 here and £7 there, you just got a small total of £35, £40. It doesn't feel that bad. And of course, as much as I would like to mix things up with my hair, I also really liked to mix things up and change my overall look quite often, especially when the seasons were changing and new things were coming into trend. And so that meant over time, I have accumulated a lot of clothes and shoes, which is just not good for my budget and also not good for the small space that I have. And then on top of that, I also had a really bad habit of not returning clothes that I didn't want. And so I didn't get my refund. And so all I had ended up with were clothes that I didn't like, didn't fit me, that were just sitting in my home that I could have gotten my money back on. But I wasn't, they're just still here. So I decided to be quite radical with this one, and last year I decided to embark on a year of not buying any new clothes and shoes, and I thought I couldn't do it, but I was actually surprised that I was able to complete it and how much I was actually able to save. So I saved quite a bit of money on that, and not only has that been really good for my wallet, but it has also been really good for my soul actually, because I really didn't realize I was spending so much on clothes, for which most of them, like I said, were impulse purchases. So after my year of no spending, I've now decided that I'm going to build a capsule wardrobe with only key items that I need, and only buy clothes as and when I need to replace them in the capsule. So wish me luck with that one. But if you are interested in finding out more details about my year without shopping, then check out this video, which actually goes into a lot of detail and how, when, why, what, and the reason why I did that challenge, and exactly what was driving me to spend. So doing that challenge saved me quite a big sum at the end of the year, but if I calculate back, it roughly works out to about £90 a month. So this is building up more and more. So you can see the more I was spending on these things, the more I could actually save if I just cut out some of these habits. Now, habit number 4 is a little bit different, and that was to give up my love for B&M. I love B&M, and as someone who enjoys a little bit of online retail therapy, I also enjoy going into certain shops and just seeing things in person. And the one place I went a lot was B&M, because it basically has everything you need, and of course it's full of bargains and more. Now I have to be honest and say I still go to B&M because there's certain things that are just much cheaper than anywhere else. For example, like if I wanted to buy washing up liquid, it's cheaper to buy it from there. Laundry detergent, some general cleaning items, these can actually be much cheaper than the supermarkets, and they work just as well. And whereas before I would go in there, get the things that I needed, I would also make sure to roam each and every single aisle and just see what was there, and imagine the different ways I could decorate and beautify my home. Maybe I could repaint the walls, or maybe it was time to switch up the bathroom towels. And then of course I would go through all these aisles and I would buy things that were not on my list, nor did I need, but I just thought were really cute. I mean, the home decor aisles alone were worth a weekly visit just so that I could see what was new in store. And then of course I fell into the habit of buying things, bringing them home and realizing I didn't need them, and of course not returning them on the next visit. But I think for me the sad fact was I was spending so much more than I had, one, intended to, and two, realized, only to be using 1/3 of the things that I was buying. And of course, that's not even to include the amount that I was spending on petrol going back and forth to different stores, because I had it in my head that you have to try out different B&M shops every month or so, because you need to see what is in different shops, because I was under the impression that different shops have different things. I was willing to travel as far as an hour away just to see what was in other shops. I know, it was a different time, so please don't judge me. I'm really trying to be transparent and as honest as I possibly can. And so now thinking about it, I was wasting valuable time that I could apply towards doing something more productive. I have to be honest and say it took lockdown to wean myself out of my B&M habit, and I'm hoping that I won't start it up once the weather starts changing and summer arrives. Now, let's get back to the money thing. So there isn't a clear amount I was spending on a month-by-month basis because it differed each month. So I took an average of this one, and I think the total savings here are around £45 a month. Habit number 5 was to start doing some DIY pedicures. Now, this one isn't actually that bad, but still worth including it in this video, especially if you compare it to the previous ones that I've just mentioned. So before I reviewed my finances, I would go get my feet done, mainly in the summer when my toes had a reason to be out. Now, this was only maybe once a month during a 3-month period, so it actually isn't too bad in the grand scheme of things. And whilst I'm an advocate for having fun money to do the things you like and to treat yourself with, I just wasn't doing that. I just think I could have used my money better for other things, because I can actually do this one at home. And even now, the only reason I would justify going to the nail shop would be to get my nails done professionally with shellac, because these are things that I just can't do at home. So after I reviewed my finances and started searching for ways to cut back on my spending and save money, it became harder and harder for me to justify the £30 expense every few weeks. So I decided that I would actually do my feet for myself at home, just paint them, with of course the vast amount of nail varnishes I already had at home. And I would just do this on the nights where I was relaxing and I was just watching some TV, and so I could multitask by watching my TV show and painting my nails or doing my own home pedicure. And for less than the price of one pedicure, I purchased all the tools I would need in order to sort my feet out. And with a little bit of YouTube and a little bit of practice, I found what works for me when it comes to DIY pedicuring, if that's even a word. And of course that has saved me about £30 a month. Now, after I did the not so time consuming process of tracking my monthly expenses, I was now able to highlight these areas of overspending, and I was able to find and change some of my worst spending habits. And I know you're wondering, how much does that work out to? Well, the result was actually astounding. So I've managed to save £500 just from some simple lifestyle changes. And when I'm at a point as a single mom and I'm worrying about how I'm going to cope on a month-to-month basis, having £500 per month that you can use is absolutely amazing. And so now, rather than living paycheck to paycheck, I decided that what I would do would be to transfer £400 from every paycheck to start building an emergency fund. And I did that at the beginning of the month so that it wouldn't come out before I noticed any money. And that's because I knew that I needed an emergency fund, and it's really, really important to start an emergency fund. But the easiest way for me to do was to cut down these expenses, put that additional money into the emergency fund, do it at the beginning of the month so that I wouldn't see it and I wouldn't be tempted to spend it. And then once I got to my first threshold for an emergency fund, which was £2,000 for me, I halved the amount that I was paying into the emergency fund and started paying some money into my investment account so that I could start to build wealth. And that's because I was really, really interested in investing at that time, and I didn't want to go full throttle at first. So I did that, and then slowly by slowly I've increased the amount going into my investment, but still keeping a small amount going into my emergency fund. And then out of the £500 that I saved, I decided to actually keep £100 as fun money for me to enjoy and to spend as a reward for not only finding this money, but also being better with my finances. And I also could just spend on something that I really, really wanted. And this is why I'm such a huge fan of changing some bad spending habits in order to save money, because they make a lifetime impact, not only on you, but on your family as well, and of course on your wallet. So let me know in the comments below whether you have some habits you think are draining your wallet, and whether you think you could give them up, as we are a community who love to share our favorite money saving tips. Also remember, if you are looking for free money, make sure to hit that stocks and shares link down below. Deposit some money into your account and get a free share worth up to £100. That's potentially 99 free pounds. Don't forget to hit that like button and to subscribe so that you don't miss any future uploads. Like I mentioned before, I'm on a journey to financial freedom and independence, and I'm sharing the tips that I'm learning in the hopes that it can help you too. So please share this video with someone who is also looking to make some positive changes to their finances. Don't forget to check out these videos as well, which will show you all the personal finance tips that I'm currently implementing in my life that have saved me thousands of pounds and can save you that amount too. Thank you so much for all your support. I will see you in the comments below, and of course I will see you in the next video. Do take care. Bye.